I will help.
All right. Call the meeting to order. Rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda is the organizational meeting. And we do our appointments. I'll start. Deputy Supervisor, I'm going to keep it Deb Rust. She did agree. Budget Officer, I will start out. I guarantee he'll stay the whole. Local accountant is Lion Accounting. That's with Jim. Registrar would be Richard. Historian would be Mary Converse. Who's done it a while. And deputy historian is Mike Draper. Appointment by the highway superintendent. Jim, your deputy highway superintendent.
Tim Page. Excuse me.
Appointments by town clerk.
Excuse me. Debbie Vignato and Lynn Parker. Debbie's the deputy registrar and tax collector. Usually, where Lou Anderson is the deputy. No, I like those different.
So, Debbie, you will have to go in and take an oath again?
No.
Okay. And Jim, you will have to come up and take his oath.
Okay.
Tried to get them last weekend.
What's that?
They both couldn't come in.
Oh,
Wasn't it?
okay, appointments by the council. Representative for the Association of Towns. We've never really had anyone before, so. Custodian, town hall, and town office. Susan Hines. Garbage pickup. Town hall, town office, town garage, and Fort Jackson Park.
I think it's something we need to discuss.
I think so. I think we should table that one. They seem to be having an awful lot of trouble with their trucks. Did they take up the rest today?
And we, too, was saying we were watching out the window and I was on here today.
Yeah.
I did check that on the way back to the shop, and I see it wasn't empty here, so.
Has yours been picked up?
Yeah.
Yeah, ours not in that one either, so. I think we'll table that.
Across the road from me, they picked up over there today, a big white garbage truck that was huge. I don't know why they didn't get this one.
If they were in your neighborhood, I don't know why they didn't come down mine.
Yeah,
Very good.
But, yeah. Anyway, let's table it. We'll table that one.
If need be, just let me know and I'll take care of this myself this week, because I know there's a lot going on.
Yeah. Dog control officer would be Robert Phillips. Deputy dog control officer, I'm going to say that 3 times. Is,
I can never remember her name.
what's her name, Vicki?
Susan?
Yep, Susan.
Yeah. Like every letter of the alphabet.
But Sue too. I don't want to be deputy dog. Library clerk was Jan Keller. Code enforcement officer, Bruce. Oh, my God, my mind was blank. Bruce Blue. Groundskeeper, Jamie Ross. Official newspaper. We're currently with North Country Now. Do we want any issue with staying with them?
We don't have much of a choice, do we? There isn't.
Well, there's still the Courier.
Her in the water down, but
I think more people are reading North Country Now.
especially.
Insurance agency, Fadden with Geimer. and time of our council meetings, do we want to leave it the third Monday at 7 o'clock? Except for January and February, which is the second Monday?
I'm good with it.
Yeah.
John, you all right with that?
I can't hear what you're saying. I'm so far over here. If any farther, I'll be on the street.
I'll have Dolores run the tape back.
Well, I want to bring that up later.
Okay.
The date and time of the council meeting is
Third week of Monday, you said? Or,
Third Monday is the
Monday.
month.
at 7. Is that good for you?
yes, 7.
Except next month. February, we still do the second.
Well, not January?
Second month.
January and
January and February, we do the second month.
January 3rd. What'd you say?
February, we also do the second Monday.
February 2nd Monday.
Yes.
Yes.
And the rest will be the third Monday.
Okay, gotcha. Nothing in January except for tonight.
Correct.
Got it.
Would it be better if you moved over here? Would you be able to hear better?
Yeah, that would, I mean, I don't know. Or else we can.
I'm fine with it. Yeah, I'm here.
No matter me.
Sorry.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, but look at the crew I get to go sit next to. I did trade up.
Oh, you did you?
No, he said he did.
I did not.
Okay, not. Okay, now. So if you two
That
want
would
to
be
switch,
possible.
that'll be.
Yeah.
There's a lot of quiet talkers that I can't hear.
Nice meeting you. I think they would be happy about that.
Right here. Get your razor sharp.
We can totally harass them now. We can totally harass them now.
No, sorry about that. I was.
No, you were doing a good job before.
Oh, I haven't even done yet.
Hello, Rick.
What?
Okay, moving on. Let's move on. The fees for the use of the town hall. For private parties, 65. Wedding receptions, dancers, and dinners, 75. Extra for kitchen stove use,
39.
public meetings, 3. Okay, for non-community residents, all events are
I've done one. I'm trying to remember.
we're on the
I've never had any outside people.
Oh, I think we should increase it. For outside.
It is more.
Okay.
That's where we are.
It is more, I just, because I haven't done one so long, I've got it written down in my book, but I didn't bring that book with me.
So do you remember?
I think it's 105 though.
Yeah.
Don't quote me.
Well, that's what it is now.
All right.
Extra for the kitchen use, another,
Just pretty bad.
another 35. And public meetings are still free. Okay,
I'll have to double check that and that comes out very late before.
I think they're free.
Yeah, I believe it was.
75 deposit will be charged for all events, resident and non-resident. Each person using the town hall will receive a list of rules for use, must sign the form that they understand them. All are responsible for any damages. Salaries of elected and appointed officials shall be paid per schedule. Annually, the budget officer, registrar, historian, deputy supervisor, deputy highway superintendent, and council persons will be paid in November. Bi-weekly is the town clerk, supervisor, code enforcement officer, assessor, the justice, town hall custodian, and the court clerk. The accountant gets paid monthly in the first pay period of the month. Weekly is the superintendent of highways and the highway employees, and hourly is the deputy town clerks, the librarian, and the groundskeeper, and the library aides, correct?
One of them.
And library aides. Rate of compensation for use of automobile on official business. In the past, we've charged 50 cents. I believe the federal is 55. I don't know, I can't remember. Do you want to stay with the 50 cents for mileage?
Yeah,
I'm good with it.
yeah, I think that's good.
John, 50 cents, okay? All right. Rate of pay for the part-time employees is $13.20 per hour, and then $15 per hour for the groundskeeper. Town officials to be reimbursed for proper charges while attending meetings in schools. Supervisors shall be required to submit the annual financial report in summary form, certified copy on file for public inspection, and a notice to the official newspaper that it is on file not later than February 28, 2022. Payrolls, bonds, notes, and other contracts shall be paid by the supervisor without board approval. Supervisor, as chief financial officer, shall be allowed to purchase certificates deposit at any bank deemed wise. Approval of bonds for all elected and/or appointed officials. Petty cash of $200 shall remain with the town clerk and noted on the final reports. The highway superintendent may spend up to $1,500 between audits in the highway fund, and the supervisor can authorize up to $500 spending between audits in the general fund without board approval. Following designation of depositories for 2022 will be MBT Bank, Supervisor Wood and Clerk Powers, and Community Bank for Justice Bory.
I have a question on that.
Yes.
Because on here you have Justice Bory as Community Bank, but then when you go to the investment policy on page 2, he's listed as MVP Bank.
Oh, that's something I forgot to change.
So which, like,
He's the community.
okay.
Good catch. I like to leave little mistakes in just to see if you read it. How'd that hurt?
Oh,
It's been 1,500 for the highway superintendent. How long has it been at 1,500?
As long as I can remember.
So if he needs to buy, repair, he has to wait until he gets the board approval for something?
If it's over 1,500, he's supposed to, yes.
Should we increase that with today's age and price of everything, so he ain't waiting for the town board
It's
to?
up to the board.
Can I just say something while we're on that discussion? We had to bring this gentleman to the shop, and it has to be fixed. I did not get a quote from Gary. I trust him and everything, but after getting the truck back, I'm sure it's going to be more than $1,500. I probably didn't handle that right. I probably should have tried to get a quote from him. He didn't really know before we got into it. But, you know, that would be a situation where I don't know how you feel about that. Because technically, I guess I should have had something running to discuss with you. I'm sure it's more than $1,500.
where is it getting repaired?
Gary Cedars?
Where is that, I mean, in the garage? or-
It's an individual,
So we're on 4750,
Okay.
it's Gary Caesar.
general machine repair.
Yeah.
He's been helpful to the town garage for a lot of years, it sounds to me. So, excellent, reliable, and very good about explaining what he's done on. You know, he gives you the old parts and explains what's done wrong. You know, very, very good. Pretty good. So, yes, I should try to be more careful about that in the future. If that's a problem. It is a necessary item, but when you think about it, being $1,500 spending limit, I didn't take that into consideration.
What would you suggest that we raise it to?
I'm just going to throw a real quick example. He breaks a cylinder on the loader, $2,200. You can't wait for all of us to create something like that. I just think it needs to be a quicker formality for him to order something than having to wait for all of us to come to the meeting. Does an email shoot when it's 2,500? I don't know. I just don't think 1,500 is very much for repairs today.
The procurement policy is between 1,000 and 2,000 is best judgment. So,
Okay, and I didn't know how long that has been there, but I'm new to this.
It's been there quite a while.
yeah. 1,500 has been a long time.
I think in a crisis situation like that, I don't think it'd be that hard for me to get a hold of everybody or a majority of the town board, so.
Yeah, and get a verbal.
At first, I thought it was pretty lousy, to be honest, but I've been doing the job for a few months now, and it hasn't really been an issue, so.
It's not an issue for you, and I ain't gonna make it an issue for you.
We can raise it to 2,000 if that would be better.
It's up to everybody else. I just think with today's deflation, 1,500 doesn't.
I mean, just because we're telling him he can go up to 2,000 doesn't mean he can run out and.
I'm still responsible, I know, you don't like what I spend it on.
I just don't want to make a half-hour discussion on that, so.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with raising it to 2,000.
I make a motion to take it to 2,000.
I'll second it.
Is that per incident, per month, per object, or
It's per purchase.
Per repair.
per repair? So like we got like 4 repairs in 1 month?
That could happen.
Especially this time of year.
Yeah.
Or in the summer even, yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
So Rick made the motion, Vicky seconds. Any discussion, further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Give it to 500, Jim.
Thank you.
So before we do the policies, let's do a motion to accept the appointments. A motion to accept the appointments as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Vicky makes the motion
I'll second it.
and Vicky seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now the policy, the procurement policy. Does anyone see any errors in that?
It just, yes. Well, because we go between 1,000 and 2,000, that's judgment, and then we skip to 3,000. What happens between 2,000 and 3,000? Should it not be 2,999? I mean, there's nothing between, I could spend 2,500 and not fall into that.
Yep.
Same with between, the rural flow, between 5,000 and 6,000.
Yeah, I just copied off what you did years ago.
I know. Apparently, the town board never read it.
So do you want to make a motion to change that from 1,000 to 2,999 and 3,000 to 6,000?
No, 5,999. I'll make a motion to accept the procurement policy with changes. Second?
Well, we gotta see where you're
Oh,
at.
page 2.
Oh, page
Page 2,
2,
procurement.
procurement policy, right at the very top.
You find it?
I found it. I had it 5 minutes ago.
Procurement was
It's
pretty
the only thing I
close.
found.
The first policy?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
7 page to that.
Okay, all right. And we're changing what now?
We're going to go procurement between 1,000, where it says to 2,000, we're replacing the 2,000 with 2,999.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And then our next one, we're replacing the 5,000 with 5,999.
Okay, all right. Yep. Okay.
So we have a motion on the floor, I need a second.
I'll second it. You see where it is? See it? Oh, okay. All right. There's my,
Did you make this second? Then,
yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
any further discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. The investment policy, we need to change the bank for Justice Board to Community Bank. A motion to accept the investment policy.
I made a motion.
Debbie made a motion, second.
Second.
Rick seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The Hopkinton credit policy, a motion to accept that.
I'll make a motion.
Vicki made the motion, a second. Oh, she did?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't. You gotta change places?
I'm fine, thank you.
No further discussion. All in favor? Aye. Okay, the ethics policy. A motion to accept the ethics policy.
I make a motion we accept the ethics policy.
I'll second.
Rick seconds. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sexual harassment policy. Motion to accept our sexual harassment policy.
I make a motion we accept the sexual harassment policy.
Second.
I'll second it.
Vicki seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The workplace violence policy.
I have a question on this.
Yep.
Are these all three of these are the workplace violence policies? I have like 3 of them in my packet. I have
Well,
We
this-
should have 2, and then there's one we're going to be
the
discussing.
workplace violence, the workplace prevention, and the workplace operations.
Okay, the workplace prevention.
No, the last one is what you want to be tracking, the one defining the COVID-19.
That one
Which
is
is
the
it?
one that's been updated every year, so I'm like, I'm very confused on it.
The workplace violence policy is what we're voting on right now.
So
That includes the program elements.
it also includes the one,
On COVID?
no.
No, the other one,
This is the one that's been on the books since 2019.
yes, and then
That one's going to be discussed later.
not the one that's on for 2019, no. The prevention one will be discussed later.
That's prevention on it.
That's what I'm saying, I want to
The
know that
elements,
because
the
it was
program elements.
Where, which one?
Yeah.
the second page, or the third page of the workplace violence, is the prevention
Oh,
program. And
yeah, but
that's one that we used before. We've had that in place.
Yes.
And now we have a new one on the original, or the regular meeting agenda tonight also. So
Yes.
it's like 3 different
Yes.
policies.
The other one is to address more the just employees,
So are
the prevention
going
one.
to take the place of either one of these?
No.
So we'll have 2
Yes.
workplace prevention
Yes.
and 1 workplace policy.
If,
Have you thought
If
about
we-
combining
I was
them?
gonna
yes, I was
say-
gonna say,
This is kind of crazy.
Those three,
But when-
three of them could be one policy.
when I get,
A lot of,
when we get to the regular meeting, we can discuss the prevention one, which,
Just hold on.
is it what?
Just hold on, this is great.
Yeah, we can hold on this one if we want it combined, yes.
Yeah. Combine all three. Yeah. Combine
All right, and we'll hold the COVID one,
I don't know
the
if that's,
workplace operations.
that different than
That's true.
violence. This is more really the
Yeah,
COVID
that's right.
regulation,
Yeah,
so.
that should be good stuff.
That should be right, so, okay. Not voting. A motion to approve the workplace operations responding to COVID-19.
I make a motion we accept the operations responding to COVID-19.
Debbie made a motion, second.
Second.
Vicki, second. You're good, Rita.
Fine, go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
Information technology policy. This is one that, is this one here?
Yes.
Okay. And this is one that our computer person did up for us. So motion to accept the information technology policy. And all of these are mandated by the state, so. A motion?
I'll make a motion.
Terry made a motion, Rick seconds. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And review, oh, Terry. Review what?
That's what you mean, really, those are overseen. I mean, this is a federal act. It really doesn't need to be in with it, actually. I put it in only put it that way, it's a reminder to everyone. No. There's real one.
Moving on. Committees. DHLS Health Center, Debbie has expressed an interest in that. Museum. Rick, do you want to continue with the museum?
I'll continue with it. They want me.
We want.
I haven't done much.
Try.
Town facilities. Debbie and I were kind of sharing that, but John, would you be willing to take on facilities as your committee?
Sure.
Recreation. I'll do. Library. That kind of goes with the museum, right?
Yeah.
Rescue. Our liaison for that is Greg, and he goes to the director meeting, so I think we should appoint Greg for this. He can give the report.
I think that's a good idea.
What a great idea!
No.
Every now and then I can see you. I know, you'll get even later. Union Bargaining Committee. What? Anyone want to volunteer?
Does it have to be a board member?
No, we've had a committee member on it before.
I'd love to do it.
I don't have a problem with it. Board members?
I'll take it.
Vicki, are you? Oh, John did. We can only have 2 on there from the board. If we have more than 2, then it's a majority, it's a quorum. So we'll put on Peggy, Rick, and John. You got guard with that? Code enforcement. We'll just leave that with rules. Yeah, I don't think we've ever really had it when we go.
And I'm not forgetting.
Ethics Committee. I spoke with 2 of the 3 that are currently on it. I didn't get a chance to talk to you, Chris. Are you willing to stay on the Ethics
Yeah, I'll stay.
Committee? Okay. So that will be Chris Tracy, Lorena Charleston, and Bob Bloom. And Bob. And Jim, we always had a safety committee. It was just the highway superintendent and one of the highway guys, so I'm just going to put you down for it.
Okay. I'll have to.
I don't think she's asking you either. I didn't hear a question mark in there.
I'll just have to get, a list of the responsibilities.
There wasn't anyone from the highway crew on that before, was it? I don't think so either.
Does it pertain to all of the town employees or just the highway department?
Mostly the highway and highway department, so.
I see.
We're all safe. Okay, if there's no other questions for the organizational.
Just a minute.
Oh, we didn't vote on the committee. Oh, Vicki found something.
No, I'm just looking in here. One person, so who's on the, okay, so it's Chris, Lorena, and Bob. Listing with them, it says that we have to have 1 municipal officer or employee, so Chris is our.
Yeah, this is our employee.
All right. I'm good.
Motion to accept all the committee appointments. There will be a motion, second.
Second.
Rick, second. All in favor? There's nothing else. Motion to adjourn the organizational meeting. Second. the ARPA committee. We have Peggy,
Yeah.
we have Bella, and Steve Hopkins, and myself, and I'm assuming Debbie, you want to be on that?
Well, Steve, you. Okay.
Debbie, no?
Aye.
What have I done?
Yeah.
Yeah. Supposed to do.
Okay.
So motion to approve the ARPA committee, the American Rescue Plan Act, and find out how to spend our money. Motion? John, how about a motion? A second? Second?
Oh, second.
All in favor? Okay, now we can go to the floor. Approval of the minutes from the regular meeting on December 20th and the special meeting on December 29th. A motion to approve.
Say that again.
A motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting and the special meeting on the 29th.
It's far away, isn't it?
Thought it was wall or something. I make a motion.
Rick made the motion, second. Debbie, second. All in favor? That'd be a long meeting.
I should have before I came.
Me too. Okay, approval of the financial report for December 2021.
Question. Did we not have to pay the health center any money? We budgeted $1,000, but we didn't.
No, we did not have
Okay.
any. We didn't have to pay them, no.
Okay.
Okay. A motion to approve financial report?
I'll make the motion.
Vicki made the motion, second.
I'll second
Ricky second, all in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Okay, audit of the bills, vouchers number 1 to 24, plus 360.
I'll explain that when we're done.
In the general account for $26,054.10. Vouchers number 1 to 4 and 142 in the highway account for $24,072.63. Vouchers number 1 to 3 in the VHLS account, $459. Motion to approve.
No. Because I have a question on the assessor's mileage voucher. When we usually put in for mileage, is where we've been and how many miles. And we have to just do that group. It's just like Rule 11B, times 49, blah, 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 and then it's like total of 160 miles. But there's no detail in where he's going for those 160 miles. He may have it wrote down in his office, but if he does, I would like for him to attach that to his voucher.
Yes, that we have asked him that several
Well,
times.
I won't sign off on that bill because it shouldn't be approved by the board the way it's being submitted.
She's good.
Tough.
The new sheriff is down.
So, do you want to make a motion to pay the bill, but hold that one out until he hands in?
I would like him to put detailed mileage on his voucher. If you're going to Potsdam, why are you going to Potsdam? You're going to Spain?
I mean,
If I'm going to assess property on 11B, am I going to assess one property on 11B, and where is that property? How many miles was it to that property?
okay, I'll tell him so. We'll hold his check
garbage bill again, it's on here,
No,
we should pull that off.
yes, we'll pull that one.
We find a new garbage company, this is an every
I think we
other
need to
month.
contact Casella or something, I mean, if it's more
I
money, it's
did
more money. I mean,
contact Casella, and it's like 3 times this month.
But we're gonna have garbage,
What about the guy in 11B there? We went from Brazier's to him, he was reasonable. Picking it up.
I haven't heard good things about the.
What have you ever heard? He's picked our garbage up every week, not a problem.
I can
You
try to
skip your
get-
bill, he'll
I
skip
did-
your garbage.
I did request it before when we were looking, and they never responded to me.
Same thing happened when I tried it personally. Twice, I called and I emailed and never got a response.
Never got a response from him.
Never got a response.
No, and I didn't when I checked with the town.
What do we have for garbage, so if I can get a hold of them? What do we have, how many dumpsters do we have?
One.
Yeah, we just have.
one dumpster, but we have picked up at the highway garage also.
Let me ask you this, if we'll save us money, because that's something we brought up here, put in this dumpster.
Not a problem.
Is it, I'm just asking, if he's gonna ask that question, I need to.
You know, I'm up here several times a week to stop and throw back garbage.
I'm surprised you don't need a dumpster down there.
You know, it doesn't seem to be that big a problem. I mean, as far as what we end up with waste, doesn't seem to be that bad. I mean, once in a while, if we order something, there might be a lot of cardboard. Yeah, it's
Is
not really
that
bad.
something you want to look at, having a dumpster down there? You only pay once every 2 to 3 weeks to have it emptied out. It's not like they got food or anything rotting in there.
2 weeks would be fine.
Yeah, no.
We do
Right,
go through.
in the summertime, it gets pretty right down there. It's just garbage inside of it. Our lunch is over. So, it'd be cheaper just to bring one bag.
Okay, I was just throwing a suggestion. Because I know like us, we've got one picked up weekly and one picked up every 2 weeks.
I don't remember the name of the people that we use, but my wife would know, and they're very reliable, but they don't do a dumpster. That's the only thing.
I think right now, everybody's willing to pay a little bit more just to have the
Yeah.
problem go away.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
food pantries Friday,
Yeah.
or what if we were having events, we would be having garbage.
We have events all weekend.
That's
It's gonna be a
We're having
problem.
events all weekend, where's it gonna be?
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was saying, if this isn't rectified, please let me know, and I'd rather take care of it than have to chase it all over the park, so.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get more prices. I'll try pick and go again, and I'll try to sell as if we give them
You
now.
might not get it resolved quick enough, so.
Right. Okay, so.
How
approval-
many yard dumpsters,
I would say it's 5. What do you think, Greg? Is that 5-yard dumpster?
7 to 9.
7?
that yard, that dumpster's that big?
7, 9 yard, that one right there?
Yeah.
Our lower one's 1.5, so bigger than that.
Okay.
I'm just guessing.
I know when I did this, I would drop off the dumpster. Ooh,
How big dumpster did you get?
can't remember, I just know I was way off from what I thought I needed and what I got.
Do you have room then, Fred?
Surprisingly, not as much as you would think. We just don't pack it in like we used to.
So where's your dumpster located?
I got the one from the house. No.
Didn't pick up my garbage. Okay, so a motion to approve the item bills except for the garbage bill and the mileage check for Alan Dukes. Is that fair?
Yep.
Okay, motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Rick and Debbie, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Review of budget report today, we have nothing. Correspondence, we have the report from Rick Perkins.
I never got that.
Yeah, you did. You printed it out.
That letter. I put that at the end, because you talked about,
No, we had, here, the January 3rd
yeah.
full board meeting.
Oh.
Bill Sheridan was voted as chairman and Lori Denisha as vice chairman for a second term.
You didn't send that to me, because they don't have it. I don't
Not
know.
my packet.
No?
Well,
Okay,
my
well, I'll read it. I don't know, I've got mine. Okay, I printed modifications to the budget, 5 agreements, contracts to be signed, a resolution authorizing the filling of 9 vacancy positions, a resolution accepting a grant for the Sheriff's Department, resolution supporting the expansion of broadband infrastructure in St. Lawrence County, resolution adopting a revised FMLA Act policy, resolution opposing the New York State Wage Board recommendation decreasing the overtime threshold for farm workers, resolution encouraging the Department of Health to not issue funds for violations of the mask mandate, 2 resolutions tabled regarding the newspaper designation location schedule, resolution urging the state to complete and settle the enhanced federal Medicaid assistance program reconciliation from last year and to compensate the county according to federal requirements. $4,018,842. Yeah, we left on the table a resolution authorizing the exemption of sales tax on home heating fuel until we obtain more information. A resolution authorizing the chair to sign an agreement with the towns of Fraser, Norfolk, and Messina related to a public service law, Article 10, proceeding recommending the issuance of a certificate of environmental compatibility and public need to construct an industrial-scale solar generating facility to be sited on approximately 1,200 to 1,400 acres of land. Rick, any questions or contact? One thing I do want to mention on that Rick didn't have on his report was to have a committee for EMS and fire. And I went to one of their meetings, and what the county is suggesting they do, because we're losing volunteers in the EMS. What they're suggesting is that they use approximately $750,000 and purchase 2 flight cars. Correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, because you were at this meeting. To purchase the 2 flight cars and to hire 7 to 8 medical personnel that can go around and fill in when areas need it. My only concern is where that $750,000 is going to come from. Because they're not going to pick it up out of their, and we already contract with Tri-Town Rescue, and we have 2 full-time and 2 part-time employees with Tri-Town. So, and then another problem that's going to come up is if they're going to be hiring these EMTs and paramedics, there's only a small pool available. So are they going to pull from these local rescue squads that already have paid employees because they can offer more money and more benefits? And then we're stuck without anything. So I guess I'm asking for your permission to do a letter to Rick and tell him that we're against this.
I was reading today, it just popped up, that there are some areas that are actually, because you can't have a rescue district, but they're trying to work on legislation and forcing them to allow to have rescue districts because of this problem, and therefore, like, we could join with another town
I know Dan
and
Steck
share
is one of the pushes
and
for
something
that.
like that. I think that would be way more fitting to our needs than spending.
But I guess,
I mean, I understand what you're trying to do.
yeah, what we're trying to do, but then I just think they're going to cause more of a problem.
So who's gonna pay them, and because they're county funded, can they charge patients?
Yes, I believe they would be able to.
Yeah, they said the first year, the upfront cost would be high because they need to run vehicles. After that, what they would be able to bill versus what it was gonna cost, they would be able to cover about half the cost.
Where's the problems in the county? There must be some problems in the county because every
There's
department.
problems all over.
Okay.
We're prepared to go. Prepared to go together for all of them.
Yeah.
Well, even Tri-Town with 2 paid staff and 2 part-time staff, you hear after those staff are off, they'll go 2-3 calls deep before they're
Yeah.
picking up a call. So it's countywide.
But if they have these 2 flight cars and say one is stationed out Governor Ogdensburg way and the other one is, I don't
Lincoln
know,
County's too big for this.
Star Lake or wherever, they're not going to get to our area.
Right, because if the tone goes out and they don't picking up that car is supposed to take off.
Right.
And you're still, you can be 45 minutes away. You're not gaining it.
No, right. But I'm just concerned over how it's gonna come back.
Well, I'm concerned how they're gonna bill us. Is it gonna be chargebacks?
Well,
We're gonna pay for something that's not all being serviced in our account? And I don't know, are they just gonna charge us for any service they give in just our account?
Yeah, I don't know how they'll do that. I'm pretty sure there's another meeting coming up on it.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I know Car One reached out to me, and they're gonna have another meeting, so if you want to wait, I can forward on that information. He said he wanted town officials to be there too, so I assumed you were gonna get the invite and pass it along, but when I get it.
I didn't get invited to the last one, I just showed up.
Yeah, so when I get it, I'll forward it on to you, and if it's already a copy, then you can
Yeah.
work from there, but.
From what I hear, I think the meetings will be in early February, so we can wait until then, but that's just something I wanted you to be aware of. Then the other thing is, I sent you what Rick sent me on the fuel tax and how much we would lose if they cut it back. And he figured that if they eliminate the fuel tax, it's going to cost the county $4 to $5 million. And half of that goes to the towns and villages. Of that, we get $23,228 that we would be losing. So I just,
Is anybody willing to cut for $5 million spending?
are they?
Is anybody?
Oh,
So I mean, you gotta make it up somewhere.
right, well, and that's why Rick has been voting against it.
Is this, they're talking about just this year, or is this a permanent exemption?
Well, I think they started out with just this year, but now I think it's extending to it would be permanent.
And is this a different tax than what they charge us for sales tax?
Yes, because this is the tax on
So
fuel.
they keep this separate from sales tax that they collect?
No, no, I'm sorry, Vicki, it's included in the sales tax.
This is the same as them collecting sales tax. Well, they don't give us 50% of the sales tax, so I don't understand where the 50% of fuel tax came into play. I mean, our sales taxes are revenue is all based on formula, population, and stuff that and all of that. We don't get 50% of sales tax.
Right.
So that's what I'm wondering, is this a different pot that they're taking it out of? Did they keep fuel tax?
He said the amount was included with our sales tax distribution.
Yeah, they may include it with it, but,
So,
And this is kind of a pushback because Ogdensburg devised that new tax revenue system. I mean, if they cut fuel tax, heating fuel, the one that they should be really cutting is the gas tax for vehicles, because people need that to go back and forth to work. That's pretty darn
I
cool.
don't know that we have county tax on fuel. I know there's state and federal tax,
I think it's just state and federal.
but I think
Yeah, I think it's
gasoline,
federal.
it's not county tax. But
Still,
heating oil does have county
It's
tax.
a 4%.
But, I'm kind of, because if it was just for this winter, wasn't permanent, I mean, I know there's a lot of people hurting. There are opportunities for heat in that, but it is limited. I looked at what we got in sales tax revenue this year. We certainly exceeded our budget by a lot.
We did, yes. But that doesn't mean we're going to next year.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Is this permanent or is it just this year? And we're already into February. So
Right.
how many months are we really talking? I mean, it hasn't even passed the county yet.
Yeah, by the time they pass it, it's like, too late.
So we don't even,
I'm going to ask Rick to come to our next board
yeah,
meeting.
I wish he would make himself present a few times. I think I've met him once in all the years he's been on county legislature.
I'm going to ask him to come to our meeting, even if he doesn't get here until the end of it,
Yep.
and get these questions answered. Okay, that was I included the letter in there from Roger Linden about the sale of DHLS. And Debbie attended a meeting here today, so maybe she can give us a better update on.
Well, basically, the dentist would like to purchase the building for $50,000, and he would like for town to drill him a well, so he would have his own well. But when the Agway was sold in March, there was a document that gave him the well. I mean, basically, it's on our property, but he has complete rights to the water. They provide the salt for the water softener and so on, so we basically told him that that was definitely not happening. If he wanted to drill a well, he would have to drill that himself. And then he wanted to buy it, so in order for him to buy that, it has to be auctioned. And he also has to pay for a commercial assessment of the property before it can be sold in auction. And he has stated that he wishes to opt out of the first refusal, which is exactly what we wanted, because now we can sell it to anybody at the auction, and he has no rights to it. It's whoever bids the highest. So we were quite pleased at that announcement. He has also asked us to extend his lease on a month-to-month basis, because we can't even start the auction until next year, because the lease runs out December 31st of this year. And so we can't even auction it until next year. The auctioneer would like to do it in seasonable weather, which would probably bring us into May. So by the time that all of that happens, it would be close to May of next year. And the auctioneer that they talked to said that it probably would be assessed at $150,000. And so now it's gotten to be more monetary value to the town. I myself say, if we can get rid of it, we get rid of it. But if the towns can benefit, that's fine. But it has to be auctioned. There's no way around it. Yeah, that's kind of where we are.
Well, the auctioneer may say it's worth $150,000, but who are you going to get bid $150,000?
Well, and there are people
Unless that neighboring business there or something is interested, but for $150,000.
Well, the post office has been purchased by the brother that is to the buyer of ABC of Elliott. Also, the Starlight Inn, that yellow building, has been purchased by him. So there is an interest in it, but it has to have a commercial appraisal. He wanted us to pay the appraisal, but his letter, a letter from Roger Linden to the doctor says it is his responsibility to pay for the commercial assessment. We're not. None of the towns are willing to do that. So there's a lot going on. We're hoping that things work out.
I think what Roger's saying is if we don't go to bid, then we have to have a certified appraiser. So I think he's telling the dentist, look, if you want to buy the building, get a certified appraiser, and that's the amount you'll have to pay.
It still has to go to auction.
I think there's a way around it. state certified appraisal. I thought that was the state certified, I thought we could get around an option.
No, I think that it has to go to auction.
That was under the impression that if he buys it and he wants, it has to go by the certified appraisal price. But,
But I also think we can auction it off with, even when there's a lease on it, it just has to be sold with the lease.
yeah.
We could do it this summer, but it's gotta be known you are buying it with the lease.
That's not the way that I understood it, that they were gonna go back to Roger, and of course Roger wasn't available, so,
We have time for 2 weeks.
yeah.
Seems to ask one of the other towns to buy it out and walk away with it.
No,
They don't want to eat it.
No,
It's a hot potato that nobody really wants.
no, there's actually really no land to it. It's actually just the building, period.
I didn't know if one of the other towns would.
oh, no, none of the towns want it.
No, it's food.
What are the buildings around it sell for? Do you know what they're sold for?
No, I have no idea. No,
I'm just curious if they brought, to give you an indication of this one maybe.
no. I mean, so they feel that there is interest, but, I just don't, yeah, none of the towns want it, and we don't want the dentist to leave. None of us do. I mean, he's got a good established business there, and,
So anyway, the ongoing battle, and we'll keep following up with the other towns. Next thing on the list I have is this just came in today, there's a April 19th conference being held at the Turning Stone. And there's some good sessions in here that would be good if some of us even could go with. And actually, Jim, there's a couple things in here that you'd be interested in. I forgot to make you a copy. But there's one in here on long-range planning and budgeting for highways.
Something interesting.
So,
You didn't have to say it in front of my wife.
I'm sure she could occupy her.
I'm sure you're right. There's a couple things there that she'll be interested in too.
So if you're interested in going, let Dick know and he.
What's the timeline on that, do you know, but?
Have to know by, we get a deal if we register it by March 18th, $75. After that, it's $150. After March 25th, it's $200. So if you're gonna go, it'd be great if we could do it before March 18th. Peggy, Debbie and I, we were signed up for a webinar on Friday, and haven't had a chance to talk to you yet. It's on the spending of the ARPA funds.
Okay.
It's at noon on Friday. Debbie and I were hoping to get a computer to set up in the courtroom
Okay.
and do the together.
All right. Yeah, I can hear.
Okay. I can email you the.
Yep.
Do we have a computer we can set up in there?
I'm starting to feel like
that's
I'm getting out here.
Yeah, and the one that we
will
did,
you
well,
be available?
yeah, we can use the one that I've been using right now.
On Friday?
Okay.
That's,
So we're
yeah.
gonna do that.
If we can use it that day in there, watch
Yeah.
it there. Yeah,
Okay.
that'll be fine.
All right.
Noon,
And
is
we'll
that
let you-
Yeah, I'm going to email you.
And we'll have to talk to Steve.
Yeah, I'm gonna, okay. That was that. On to old business, update on the Dog Control Humane Society. The lady has not called me back from Humane Society yet, but I did talk to Bob Phillips again. We took 4 dogs there, and I think we discussed this before. And he said Perishable has tried for years to get the price lowered, and they won't do it. So,
My question is, it's always been, would you just pay per dog? What's the fee gonna be?
I was gonna ask her that, but she called me back.
I just think $1,900 for 4 dogs, I mean, we could buy 4 purebreds for that. I'm just putting it in perspective here. I know,
I'll try contacting her again and see if we can get her in.
unless you guys wanna pass it and be done with it, I don't mean to drag it on.
Oh, no, we passed it last month, but still, we can,
Investigate for
We
next
can
year.
work on it for next year.
I can hold her check too.
And she did a heck of a job with smoke and mirrors, I was looking at it. I mean, she did a beautiful job with smoke and mirrors on what, how little the town pays compared to the overall budget and everything else they're doing. But you still didn't break it down per dog.
So I'll try contacting them again.
Everybody just drops their cats off at farms, and just start doing that.
I just run cat feed right up the lake road. Stop at the end of the bridge.
I was gonna say, please don't do that, because somehow they find a way across the road from our house. And I happen to live with a cat lover, so we end up with them.
You don't end up with raccoons though.
What's that?
Don't you usually just end up with raccoons?
Oh, we end up with everything.
They're just on cats.
Got a darn horse, we got a dog.
We got working on that.
Oh, geez, don't bring me. We even have a skunk because the dogs made friends with it. Yeah. Anyway, we went over the fuel tax thing. So, committee report, supervisor update. I have nothing. I've been busy, but I don't know what I've done. This end of year stuff and trying to get that one grant finished for the hometown grant. And contacted the grant writer, and he hasn't started on anything yet for the bridge. He's waiting. And the other one, the engineer, they've done the surveying, hoping to do the drilling this month. So that's where we are. Questions? Code. He didn't really question.
No, he hasn't had anything going on. I'm exactly still dealing with the 11B issue.
But I want you to know the 11B issue did come into court.
No, it didn't.
He did. He came to court because he got a ticket for the garbage. And the judge informed me that he was the nicest, politest man ever. And I said, really? You're not a racist? Wow. So he's, they're working on getting it cleaned up.
It's looking better. Not great, better.
I think what
That happened 2 years ago.
Yeah.
When he was.
And I think what happens is, he doesn't own the land yet. So when we sent the notice out, it goes to the actual owner. And I think she got on him and said, clean it up or you're out. So, because he's different, totally different person when he came to court. Assessor. SLCAA held its December 2021 monthly training session live. The end of the year meeting was held at the Town of Hopkinton Municipal Building. Topics that were discussed but not limited to are as follows: new trends for all St. Lawrence County towns review, calculating the new formula for solar energy. New offices were installed for SLCAA. Some continued discussion on the new trends that New York State developed. It is very possible that the increase in the percentage of valid sales may affect equalization rates countywide. It is the largest increase in over 30+ years. Should be receiving the renewals throughout January and February. They must be in by March 1st. He's continued to value the completed new construction assessments for 2020 and 2021 by inspecting each of those particular parcels. He has a list that Bruce Booth has inspected and informed of their completion. He will have to correct the inventory and reassess using the new updated values. He's been installing completed inventory on the computer files along with address changes, building permit construction, and property transfers. There was a question regarding the town tax rates. For the town rate, it is $5.65 per thousand. Last year, it was $5.85 per thousand. Total decrease in the town and county January billing decreased 39 cents per thousand. On a $100,000 assessment, that would show a decrease in the tax liability of $39. Also, the solar assessment figures. We can't get a figure on that yet because we don't have the information from the companies to do the formulas. That is information you need to calculate the assessed values. The state is reworking the formula on residential systems 5K and smaller. I agree with other St. Lawrence County assessors that we should come up with a set figure per kilowatt. The feeling is $1,500 per kilowatt is a fair figure. If there are any questions regarding residential systems, please call me at the office on Monday mornings from 9:30 to 12. 315, 328, 4187, extension 2.
We have till March 1st to get this in place, so there's assessments on it this year.
So next meeting, we're gonna be done.
March 1st is when the tax exempt status is. Taxable status period, March 1st.
So he has to have his decision made on the assessment for solar.
Hypothetically, he's not here, he just come up with something, should we just move forward?
Well, he was planning to go with 1,500.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was my last conversation with him. Library,
Nothing new that I know of.
museum,
Nothing new I know of, unless you've got something.
No, you haven't heard anything more than that. Cool.
Nope.
nothing on the electrical or,
No, they talked to him, I'm hoping it's good, better what they get to this meeting. But I've not heard a confirmation on the date.
highway,
Basically, we spent most of our time this month just trying to keep the roads clean and, maintenance and shop when we're not doing that. I did want to bring to your attention that, I recently learned of, what they call a two-stage plow for the large plow trucks. It's a pretty interesting item, and what it does is it's a plow that you can optionally turn on with air, and it comes down behind the main blade. And what it's designed to do is take the snow out of the imperfections, like tire ruts in the roads, to do a cleaner job plowing. It's not something you can use 100% of the time, but anytime there's softer snow or slush or like that, it's designed to clean it out. There are local towns that have it, like Colton, and it is a cost of about $6,300 to add it to a new truck. And I don't know how you feel about trying to add that to the truck that is being built right now. I did give Sue a copy of what that truck is costing. I should have had more copies, but I didn't make copies for that, for everyone. I know you've probably all seen the budget for building that truck at one point in time or another, but I don't know how you feel about doing that. I think it would be a wise use of money. Perhaps if you want to consider it, you might want to talk to other municipalities or go to Viking's website and take a look at some of their video on that shows it working. But I thought it was at least something that, was worth considering. And one other thing is, I think you've got my report there. I really want to get on a process of devaluing the equipment that we buy. And so that when we're looking to replace equipment, it's not a surprise. It's awfully difficult for a small town to all of a sudden have you run in there and say, oh, we need a new backhoe, we need a new wheel loader. When you're talking, $140,000 or $200,000. And it's something you should know far ahead of time before we have to replace those things. So I would like to get a report for the board as far as what we have and what we value it at. The values on that will be speculative, and I'll do the best that I can to get values that are accurate. And I'm thinking on devaluing the larger equipment like the wheel loader and the backhoe at 10 years. If anybody has any input on that or anything to add, I'd like to hear what you have to say on that. The trucks, the heavy trucks, I believe you've been doing every 5 years. That's the policy that you've been doing. That seems to be good and it seems to be working. We've got to come up with, you know, a replacement cycle for the small trucks, I believe. If we did 5 years on small trucks, that would be, you know, at some point in time, you'd be cycling out a 15-year-old truck. I think that's a long time for small trucks, but, I don't know, 4 years might be better, so then you'd be cycling out a truck every 12 years if we keep the number of trucks that we have right now. I'm including the 450 that we use for sanding and plowing on a regular basis. I'm including that truck in that. But, if anybody has any comments on that or ideas, I mean, it's got to be a cooperative thing. So just because I come out with a bunch of numbers on it, if it's not something that everybody's on board with, it's not going to fly. So
I believe the 450 you're stuck with for 10 years.
right, but if we were going to replace those on a 4-year cycle, it would be 12 years before we
Okay.
cycle.
Why would we stuck with it?
That one got bought.
Because that one was bought on chips,
When did they buy that one?
when Steve Green was in, I can't remember.
I don't think the whole balance was on chips, but I think there was a portion of it was paid for by chips. The whole thing was okay.
And I mean, 12 years of
What
it.
year was that bought?
That was 17.
17?
I think the pickups, if I don't mind doing 2 cents on it, I think the pickups you could do, I think if you do them right on buying them under state contract, I think you could cycle them faster. Because what you save on state contracts and you put them back out for bid again to sell, you might be in, and I said this before, there's a place in Georgia or Alabama that's doing this. They're buying, but they're in a different boat than we are. But they're like they're highway trucks. They're only running them for a year to 2 years, and they just put them out. They just put them in an auction. And that way, there with under state bid, they're able to go back and buy new ones all the time. Your pickups are the only things you might have quite a chance of getting away with.
And should we consider the 450 a pickup truck, or should we consider that different?
I don't know. I'm just writing one idea.
I know, no, I think that sounds wonderful to me. It's just that, you know, if you did that, you could probably get close to what you paid for the truck and it cost you very little. In the 450, as you know, we just had to put a new transmission in that, and we were all grateful that that was covered under warranty. And honestly, the truck does get used hard because of the amount of plowing and sanding, and it's always heavy. We don't put a ton of miles on it, you know, compared to what a lot of facilities would. Right now, we're at 20,000 miles on the truck, or a little over 20,000 miles, and so that's not a lot of mileage per year.
Well, how old is the first truck you got?
The 450,
No, the Steve Green had.
that's a 19. And the 450 was bought because the old 450, the transmission was bad.
No, I just think about the 19, at what point do you look at, and I'm just throwing an idea, could you look at the idea of,
I see what you're saying, Stockholm was the same thing, like their highway.
at what point, I don't know when that magic date is, you say,
Cycle it out.
you cycle it out, why it still holds a lot of value, the longer you keep it, obviously more it values. But that state bid, the closer you get it to new, and you cycle, I think the better off you might be.
I agree with you.
And I don't know how to, I think it's an idea how you do it, I don't know how we do this.
They were turning theirs back in, and sell.
They're just trading them back into the dealership.
Well, they would sell them. This year, they, for some odd reason, they're keeping Bruce's truck for 3 years, but every 2 years, highway superintendent would get a new truck. If they needed a truck, a spare for a runaround or one of the
They
big
drop
trucks,
that one back.
they drop it back and keep it, but if they didn't, they'd sell it outright because they bought it under state contract at a reduced price. You turn around and sell it, you can almost get full price back for it as you and I would buy it. And then they order a new truck under state.
Well, how much saving is there under state bid? Say a $40,000 truck, what can you buy it for, 32?
Yeah,
No, there's a percentage. I mean, I'm just asking.
Somewhere in the neighborhood of 25%, I think it is on trucks, which is pretty substantial.
That's huge.
It is huge.
It's too bad that we're in the situation we are, though, there's nothing to buy.
Right now, I've got.
No state bid,
Right,
much.
yeah, right now I don't have any complaints over, you know, what we have.
We're looking at a 20
again.
You can order one right now.
I thought the bids were year, like, Ford, Chevy, whoever has the bid.
Yeah, you can order one right now, but your cutoff date was November 12th of last year for a truck for next year. So you could call and say, I'd like to order another truck. It'll get put in the queue to be built. As long as it's in before like your cutoff date at the end of the year. That doesn't say when you're
I
gonna get
just
it.
don't know how to get rid of the other truck, try to get max value out of it. Once you put it up, well, we don't have to accept the bids, but
So you can put it out for a bid right here and just open them and you don't have to accept them.
Yeah, you just put a minimum bid on it.
One of the
You
things
know,
I
reserve,
heard, what I would like to say is when it comes to equipment and trucks, the equipment especially, if we plan on cycling out machinery in a shorter amount of time, we should think about how we auction that equipment because it has a big difference in what the value of that machinery is. Now, if you're gonna keep a piece of machinery, say a wheel loader, for 10 years, the value of a quick coupler or a high lift isn't quite as important as if you're gonna cycle it out in 2 years, because it has a real big difference. Like the John Deere dealer that just came to look at our equipment said that it's like $20,000 devalue to not have a quick coupler on their wheel loader. And it's like a $7,000 or $8,000 option. Does that sound right, Chris? Is that what it was, the upgrade for the quick coupler?
About 7,000 is what they
Yeah.
quoted us in the last one.
So if you keep it for 10 years, it's not nearly as bad, but if you keep it for 2 years and want to, sell it, having a machine without options does hurt your trade-in value or even your bid value if you sell it, so. That's kind of a tricky situation there. I mean, I'm not saying you can't say we're gonna keep this machine for 10 years and then a good deal comes along or a good program and then change your mind. But just what I'm shooting for is to try to get to a point that when we have to replace something, that I don't have to come in and say, oh my God, I need this right now, and it's $200,000. So it's not the easiest thing to come up with, but
the sales is still around more traction than the last deal that they were.
What's that?
The sales wasn't sold,
They sold, now they're United.
United Ave, I don't know if the sales is
Not the same sales.
I pick up idea, we just need to think about it, and you guys think about how Stockholm's doing it. Don't even reinvent the wheel, if they're doing it, be successful at it.
Yeah, then,
Might be able to,
find out more exactly.
I got,
Used to be a Monroe
I
tractor.
got Cat coming up to do the same thing.
I'll find out where they send their pickup when they sell them. Or if they trade them back in.
With today's age of used vehicles, maybe it's time to try to grow it.
So, back to this, Charles. When
I was
would-
gonna ask.
When
We
would-
went from a plow to a new truck here.
Oh,
good, good.
Well, you didn't say yes, yeah. Yeah, I almost think that you might want to try to visit their website and see a little bit, or maybe talk to some other municipalities and get,
I'm
it's
just wondering how
a,
soon they would need to know this to build it, because my other concern is this going to piss over our USDA funding?
I'm assuming that that's going to throw a monkey wrench into it, but
And-
I was also assuming that if you like the idea and you want to go with it, that we could come up with the money to purchase that and just pay them for the addition.
Because I know when I discussed the tractor mower situation with the attorney, if it goes over what we put out in the bond resolution, we have to start all over again.
Well, that doesn't sound very pleasant, especially with because that's tied to the mower, right? I mean, it's
Yes.
all, that sounds like another monkey wrench.
So I was just wondering when, and Roger's going to be gone for 2 weeks, so I can't check with him, but that's why I wanted to know when we would have to make the decision to tell the truck company to build that in.
I would speculate we should have that within because we're not gonna get that truck until April is our time slot right now. But when they start building the parts for it, the plow
Right,
frame
then
is
they have to.
different. But, and that was one of the reasons why I brought that up. To equip a brand new truck is less money than if we want to retrofit an older truck, because you lose some of the stock parts there. You're gonna have a longer plow frame, and, so some of your parts aren't usable, they just get scrapped. And so it is more money. I don't have exact.
How much more?
I don't know what the retrofit is, but to add it to a new truck,
Yeah. The price of this is $6,276. And I only have, the equipment is $80,000. I can't remember what the actual truck was, so I don't know.
yeah.
how much.
I just felt like once it was brought to my attention, I was pretty impressed with it.
You got it? I should have known.
Truck chassis is $139. Truck and snow equipment is $219,954.
900 what?
$54.90. So just shy of $220,000.
Well, I believe, isn't that all itemized on what I gave you right there?
No, it's only the equipment.
But I definitely thought it was worth bringing to your
Yes,
attention.
I agree. My other question is, do we have an answer yet on the tractor and the mower?
I called Mark, the salesman, and I explained where we were at and that we were gonna pursue it. We discussed it with a lawyer, and, you know, all things point to the fact that we have a legal contract, and
I'll bring the rest of the board up to date because they don't know about it.
What's going on?
Yeah, we got the sales rep visited the highway department last week and said that the tractor and mower that we thought was on order, their price has been increased by $14,000. And Jim came up to see me and I said, too bad. So I contacted Association of Towns and they said, no, you don't have to honor it anymore because you signed, we didn't have a contract, but I did a purchase order and I have his signed quote at that price. And I also have an email from him back in November that said he was placing the order that day. And this was just what, last week he showed up and said it's going to be $14,000 more.
they haven't started building it
Yeah.
yet. He wanted an answer from me as soon as possible so they could start building it, and,
So I also contacted Roger, because I wanted to make sure that, as our attorney, he knew, and he said, no, he said he's bluffing, and he said they're using COVID as an excuse, and they're trying to get more money. He said, just tell him, no, you're not going to go with the deal. So Jim was there when I was talking to the attorney, and Jim said he would contact Snell's and let them know, so.
This is Snell you're doing?
correct.
What?
Yes,
Yeah. It's real, what, they gotta be a.
So the other question is, if we pull out of the deal, where does that leave us with
Yeah,
USDA?
they don't pay. So I think that they're obligated then
I
to
think
order it at the price they quoted
That they
us,
quoted us.
sell it to us, or we might have to have our attorney turn it over to them.
So that's my feeling, is that, no, you gave us the price, we ordered it,
You got an email, he's gonna order it the next day, did he forget to order it? And now.
and now, yeah, we don't know.
what he told me, well, I agree with you. What he told me is that he will contact the company and let them know what we have to say. Really, who we're dealing with is Snell, so I really don't care what the other company says. We made a deal with you. so-
Right. So,
And you got it in writing?
Yeah,
I have
she-
a copy of it,
yeah.
yeah.
If you got it in writing, they're screwed.
Well, that's what I said.
Sounds like Snell's gonna lose their
Sounds like Snell's gonna lose their 14,000. They're gonna have to front
profit.
it. They're gonna have to front it, because they screwed up. It wasn't.
Absolutely, that's how I feel.
What would you do if it was your personal tractor, if you were buying it personally?
I'd be talking to my attorney and tell my attorney to send a letter saying you have a contract with me and you didn't honor it. That's what I do. I wouldn't even pardon my language, Philly part around. I just, when the attorney gets back in 2 weeks, have him send a letter to Snell saying, here's a copy of what you signed, here's the email saying when you ordered it. So either honor the price.
I'm hoping I get a call this week saying that,
I mean, you got 2 weeks because Roger's
Right.
gone for 2 weeks, but if it was our personal one, our attorney would be writing a letter saying, here's the written stuff from you, either you front the 14,000 or you're gonna be going to court. If you really want that out in court, that you're taking a town for $14,000. Pretty sure there's no other town that's gonna do business with you.
For any individual.
Yeah.
So I have an email into the USDA asking them if this falls through, and if we happen to find another one at the same amount of the grant, will they still honor it? But they haven't got back to me yet, so.
That would be a good thing to know, because I'd say goodbye, because you already know that, you know, it's an accident.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't say much for them when they show up.
I mean, right down the road.
well, what I would do is if it's not gonna happen, I would take quote that we have now, and I would visit another Kubota dealer.
Go to
explain-
Dragoons and Moores.
And what I would
Go to
do,
Dragoons and Moores.
I would explain the problem, and then I would give them the
I bet
contract.
you if you took that quote into Dragoons, they'd honor it.
That's what I would try to do, because then the numbers wouldn't change, and we wouldn't have the problem with the USDA.
That works for me.
I think the minute you change dealerships, I think it's okay for what changes, so.
That what?
I think once you change the name of the dealers, of the dealer who sells, I think you gotta start right over again.
Yeah,
That's what my fear is.
you're probably right.
The way state is,
But we look at it this way too, if Snell's is gonna screw us like that, and we end to think, okay, we lost a $130,000 grant,
Can you do that? I mean, that'd be a tough pill to swallow.
but it's not like it's anything out of our actual pocket. I mean, yeah, we would like to have the tractor and mower, but not at the expense
If
of.
we decide that at some point in time we can't go on with the tractor that we have, then it's likely that we would have to put the entire amount of money.
we can always just reapply for the grant again, too.
Is that possible? I don't know.
Well, I think it's crazy to even put ourselves through that. We have a signed agreement, we do not have to have it serviced by them, there's other Kubota places to get it serviced. Well, we need to get it, and we need to get it at the, for the
At the
quoted
price.
it. Yeah,
It was
with
signed
paperwork
up.
done,
I think we need to
Have
revisit this in
USDA
a
loan
couple of
ready.
weeks to see what happens.
I just thought the attorney, the attorney's gonna write
You
it
know?
down.
that's credit loan.
I know when I'm talking with Snells, I was looking up some numbers, doesn't matter what Kubota dealership or John Deere dealership, once you go to state bid contract, it's the same price for
Right.
everybody, from Dragoons to
You're right.
Snells, from John Deere to Casanova equipment. Once you get in that state contract price, the money is the same.
So,
So that's what we
Yeah.
found out.
yep, so you're absolutely right.
But that doesn't mean that if there's a problem that they don't want to honor, that someone else might go, I'll take that deal.
But they may just to get a business.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the update on that. Anything else, Jim?
No, I guess that's enough.
I do have one question for you. Did the insurance guy get call you today?
He did, and
Okay.
they're gonna get out, an estimator as soon as they can,
Okay.
and when I know something, I'll let you know.
I have a question on Zachary Risk Management LLC. The town building.
He's our training person.
But he's not doing anything in person this year.
He will if we want him to. Most towns are saying no, they want it.
He has visited me though.
But he did ours last
Is
time.
it worth it?
We don't have a choice.
It's mandatory.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't blame me. I just thought it was easy.
Yeah.
Virtual, just.
Mandatory training, unless you can find somebody else to do it.
Okay.
Maybe we should have him do it.
It's sorry to do this to you, Chris, but I know. We had a slight accident in the highway garage this morning, which is why we had to call the insurance company. They had an issue with the truck, it broke down, they fixed it. Person to back it out,
No, take off, we'll get loaded.
drive it out, and the garage door was, got in the way.
Nice way to put it.
So,
Monday morning.
It's okay.
It was a rough Monday. The week can only get better.
But
Did you get hurt?
that's what we said.
What is the, how's the panels, what's the availability of panels?
I
Five
don't-
months.
Yeah.
What size panels are they?
They are 12 by, I think it was 12 by, you know, I'll have to measure. Why, you think you got
The
some?
reason I think I have extra panels that we've smashed over the years, we have to buy a new door, so we keep all the old panels.
Which is what we were gonna do, keep the good ones. but-
That's what we've done over the years, that's what I was asking, what,
I don't know, I told it on the wall.
It's not just,
the only reason I was looking at the Raptors today, was they go, there's all the old doors.
So, but I want everyone to know, accidents happen, it's not Chris's fault, we are not blaming him. My story, because I had to let the rest of them know.
Just let you know, Chris, you're not the first one to do this or the last.
That's
That's what I've been
exactly, exactly what I told them.
And the most
So,
important thing is that you did not get hurt.
Yeah,
That's right.
you know.
But the pride taken off the wax.
Yeah, it does. but-
Yeah, he took it pretty
You'd
hard.
rather have a broken wrist and be out of the week or something. You gotta live with that.
Yeah, but that's for.
This one will wait for 20 years.
They won't let it go away. That's a gift that's gonna keep on giving.
So, Dan,
But anyway, so I think that's it for highway.
No.
All I know is that you come on board, this has been the longest
No, you
discussion
don't.
every board meeting.
But I spent more money than anybody, right? So.
You do.
Oh.
I just had to pick on you once.
Are you able to get the door to
John has a question.
Joe, we got a couple questions.
Yes.
How do we get more salt on the roads?
Well, that is something that we've all been discussing. Getting more salt on the road would mean that we would have to have a facility to keep salt. And I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but we don't have straight salt. We buy salt, we mix it with the sand,
Right.
and that's what we have. In places like 49 and Converse that get a lot of heavy traffic and you get ice buildup, it would be wonderful to have straight salt. But until we either build a facility or get a grant to make a facility, to keep it dry, we can't just buy it and make a pile. I've considered,
Well, the last couple of meetings ago, Rick had a pretty good idea, I thought, by moving wherever the pit was, put a
I'm
building.
still with the county, that's.
We don't have a pit yet.
You know, what was that all about?
If we could buy the property on the shelf on Priest Road and move our sand pit location down, not sand pit, move our sand pile down to the sand pit, and that would be our loadout location.
Okay.
It was just an idea, I'm still working with the county, they haven't told me no yet, but they haven't been very quick at getting back. Let's do, unless you've heard anything from them, they called you and said,
Well, I know there's a lot of people, when I knocked on doors, especially down here on 49, with salt, sand in their house and the wells and all kinds of things. So that would be another plus, if you could move that out of there. But I noticed, I know we talk about trucks, and fire trucks and new plows, but really, as far as I'm concerned, the people I talk to, they just want to drive on the road safely.
and that's hard to argue with. I mean, I
Especially
agree with you.
49, when every meeting we come to, someone's talking about 49.
You're absolutely right, and I hear it a lot.
but
And-
we also need to remember 49 is not a town road.
But
It's
people
county, we
see,
take care of it, right?
yeah, people see our trucks on it, so they think it's our road. They think that we're responsible for the bad shoulders.
That was my second question. Do we have a contract with them?
Our contract, you know, I haven't actually read our contract with them. I haven't been doing
For
this.
plowing and sanding.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
county and sand.
Zero.
Yeah.
And
No.
mowing, and that's all we have.
It doesn't mean that we don't care, we do.
But they're only gonna pay you for so much salt?
Actually, they're paying us per mile to maintain it, and how we maintain it is pretty much up to
Because
us.
I noticed, just an observation, when you hit Stockholm, the roads get pretty good.
But there's a weather barrier there. And also, it's totally different weather once you go
You're
around.
right there,
You're
you're right.
hitting Lawrence.
Okay, let's go to Colton.
let me just go back to where you were talking about. As you go down 49, you run into Lawrence. We plow up the Sweeney's Corners. Are you
Yeah.
familiar? All right, we plow up that far, then Lawrence takes over. And Lawrence does have a barn for the sand and salt mixture, and they also have a separate barn for pure salt. And that really makes a huge difference.
And they have pure salt because they plow state roads.
Right.
We don't have any state roads. that we
There's a
plow.
lot of things that go on with state salt that they won't talk about.
What I'm hoping will happen is I'm hoping that Sue's working with a grant writer, and I'm hoping that after he's done with his business on the bridge, and hopefully everything goes well, I'm hoping that he can search for grant money for a sand, salt combination barn. If that doesn't happen, what I will do is get together with the guys and try to come up with a figure on how much salt we think would help us. And then we'll come up with a design and a cost of materials to put up our own small salt shed. And present it to you and see what everybody thinks about it.
Well, I think that needs to be a priority.
Well, I think we have to be careful because the county's only gonna pay us X amount of dollars.
Well, I had, the other part, you wanted to bring in, what's his name? The county guy?
Oh, Rick, yes,
Rick,
perfect, yep.
he needs to be here. And I want to ask him, where the hell's the salt? Right? He says, why can't we get more money for a while? Well, take care of their roads, right? Take care of the road.
Believe me, when we have a bad time of it, everybody and their brother calls me screaming at me. It's not pleasant, the cops are calling me and emergency services. Believe me, I would love nothing better than to say to the guys, oh,
Well, but that's what I mean. It's the same old, same old, same old. I think it needs to be fixed. Really, seriously. We just gotta stop talking about it. Gotta make an excuse. And get Rick down to what's he?
Rick
Perkins?
Perkins,
It
yes.
needs to
Put him
start
on,
with
put
the
him on the spot.
condition of the road.
What's that?
It needs to start with the condition of the road.
Well, that was my second part. I'm not done.
We have shoulders that are
That was
not our
kind of it. Shoulders
responsibility.
was next.
and they're extremely dangerous.
We have tire pits now, tracks, that the plows cannot get the snow out of. So no matter how many times you go over it, how many times you solve it, the snow is built up in those tire tracks. And it's from all the heavy trucks that run that road day in and day out, day in and day out.
One thing to go with that too is, the guys that do that route, they don't just do that, their whole route and do it just one time. You know, partway through the route, they go back and they do 49 again. I've got them trying to hit, Greg is one of the guys that does it. I've got them trying to hit that as much as they possibly can. But their routes are too long right now. It takes the guys, let's say you had 6 inches of snow, it's taking the guys 5-6 hours to do their routes. And we try to alleviate that a little bit by me doing a route myself in the little truck. Your road is one that I do, and I'm sure you noticed that I don't get there at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I'm not even, that's the last on my list.
But what I'm saying is, because the routes are stretched out so far, it's
Yes.
very hard to do a quality job on 49. Salt would make that easier. There's no argument for me whatsoever on that. We have talked, and we do have a plan that hopefully there is some grant money out there. If that doesn't work, then I'm gonna submit a plan to build our own shed, and what I think it's gonna cost, and then us guys will build it ourselves.
Well, like, I use 49 for example because it's county, but
It's my
right
biggest
now,
headache.
tonight, pretty much any, except for 72 and 11B, it's pretty much solid frozen snow ice right now. You know, that's what I'm just saying, a little few extra bucks if we, you know, that's why I say spend the money on the salt somehow.
You gotta have a place to
But we
store
don't have a
it or
place to
something.
store it. We don't have a place to store the pure salt.
If you were to buy it right now and stack it up, you'd be a waste of money. It would get rid.
So you're piling sand now, you have to mix with salt.
Yes.
So you can't add to that, like when you're doing it in the summer?
Well, you could do a higher concentration.
I'm not saying like, pure salt, but we gotta start somewhere.
I think the mix that the guys have been using, I haven't, been part of that. It was already done before I got here. But I think the mix that they're using is really good under 80% of the conditions. 49 and Converse Road are exceptions to the rule because of the amount of traffic that they get. If you don't get the snow off quick enough and somebody drives on it, it packs down. You could cure that with pure salt. Not something I would use every day, but when conditions permit it, I would say, let's put pure salt down. I don't have that option, but I definitely would like it. I do think the mixture that they've been using is a good way to go. I'm happy with what's in it, and it works in most places. But also another thing is too, unless somebody wants to change the policy, we really don't go out very late at night. I can't just call the guys in at 7 o'clock at night and say, come on in. Because at a minimum, they're gonna be 5 or 6 hours on a route. And then they've got to come in early in the morning. What we do try to do is when we're getting snow at night, when we're not out working, we try to come in earlier because get things cleaned up so the school buses can get where they need to go. We try to pick and choose the worst spots first.
Oh, I get to understand that, yeah, you can only do so much.
Yeah, but salt would go a huge
But
way.
it
for-
seems like a pattern too, most of the county roads. How's 56 Middle Road go?
That's our road.
That's our
What
one.
same road is this one out here?
That's our road.
Isn't that a county road?
Yeah, it is, but we get,
Yeah, you guys,
yeah, right.
that's solid ice and snow too.
What is our contract though?
47, terrible, I'm on that every day,
This
just
is our
terrible.
last year on it, winter?
Yep.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking, you're considering putting more salt on it. We don't pay, but we're not supposed to be paying for the cost of putting salt and sand on that road. The county pays for the salt and sand on that road. So if you're going to do something like more salt, we need to know that because we need to negotiate that
Oh.
into the price of that contract. with the
Absolutely, you will
suppliers.
know before anything is done.
Yeah, because we do not pay for the material that gets put on that road.
That could be almost a partnership with other towns to, maybe have a little more pressure on the county.
I will tell you that the head of the county over there, Don Chambers, if you'd like to call him and express your view, he's a super nice guy to talk to, very nicely mannered. It certainly wouldn't hurt if another council person wanted to give him a call and have a talk with him about that.
Well, I wouldn't have a problem doing that at all. That's why Rick Perkins needs to be here, so we can ask him questions, so he can talk to him, because that's what his job is.
And also, John, the contract that we have with the county is a 3-year contract. This 2022 is the last year of the contract, so we will be getting with the other towns that do county roads to renegotiate the contract.
And right now, if we were to furnish the salt and put it out there, we would be in a losing proposition because the rate that they pay is not really the way we're doing things. I believe they pay for one guy in the truck, not
That's
two.
basically, yeah.
So that just makes it a little more difficult.
That's why I think that we really need better figures on what it's costing us for those roads, because we're paying wages, the equipment, what it costs us to run the equipment up, the materials. Because I highly doubt 42,000, is that what we're getting, is covering the cost of us plowing 2 county roads.
And they do have to be hit harder than.
Yes, I feel we're going in the hole on the county roads.
So we can tell them down salt.
I mean, we don't even have the figures in front of us, but I can just fathom what it costs to plow these 2 roads. Equipment, cost.
So you're saying the county did a deal?
Salt and sand
Yes.
cost.
Yes, the county did a deal.
Probably not because of the depreciation on your truck.
And I don't even have facts and figures in front of me, but I can tell you we're going in the hole.
And I don't think we can underestimate how bad the shoulders are and how dangerous that is. Because when there is ice and snow,
Yeah.
if you slip over and you hit those, it's
You're gone.
really likely you're gonna
You're going
slip.
to run.
Yeah, because if you drive a car, not a truck, if you slip off on that shoulder a little bit and you drop, because there's no blacktop shoulder. You're gonna be sitting right on the A-arm, because some of the places the shoulder's that deep.
Yeah.
So you're not even on the tire at all.
Right.
And we did, the last
Yeah,
time.
you know what they did? They
I-
came out with two little trucks and did right by our driveway, on each side of our driveway. That is it. If you go up towards the handles of the pond,
Where a car almost ended up in the pond, yes.
that's the shoulder drop off. From that, all the way up through, up by Jim Lyon's house, the shoulders drop off.
When I called him, I told him, do you want to know where it was? I
Oh my
said-
God,
I
why
said, right
should
at-
we even have to tell
I told him, I
them?
said, right at the start, going towards Winthrop, as far as we plowed to the corners, Sweeney's Corners.
And there's a couple of bad spots too, up by the cemetery that are just as dangerous.
Yes, right, so.
Now,
Yeah,
did you
oh,
say-
but that's starting now, yes, at the
Absolutely.
cemetery, yes.
Yeah, well, that car, that truck you saw in front of Lucian Plants
Yes.
a few weeks ago, that was my wife.
Oh, that was your wife?
$4,500 worth of damage. She just did the thing, you know,
Yep.
and, now who'd you say the county guy was?
Don Chambers.
Chambers. Do you think he gets more calls on 49 or you?
Oh, we do.
We do.
Oh, definitely.
They know they're ridiculous.
Yeah.
Maybe you have to forward it to him. A lot of people probably don't know who to call, so they see Hopkinton trucks.
Well, the cops know who to call.
I don't know.
I can contact John Chambers again and say, we're still getting complaints, you need to do something. Put it in.
They'll put barrels up like they did last year, or signs that say no shoulders,
Don't sign off.
driver beware.
Yeah.
that did well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that with the shoulders, let's widen the roads. You gotta worry about the shoulders, right?
Well, if there was blacktop
Except for
shoulders.
my road, my shoulders are actually higher than the road.
Well, it depends on which side of the road we're talking about.
Do you have any other questions for Jim?
Well, we kind of touched upon the shoulders, but I gotta get something going here, instead of just, it's the same old.
You won't get an argument out of me over it.
It's not hard, I mean, we've been complaining about it to the
Somewhere
county.
around here, you should be starting on a new truck now, right?
Every year we
Can we
complain
start
about it,
one subject, you end up with new equipment?
every year.
If you want me to get a new truck, I'll get a new truck. But I've only got 2,000 miles on the one I'm driving now.
And you can only spend $2,000.
Yeah, I got that.
Let's keep that straight. All right, town facilities. Anything?
The only thing I have is the garbage. We do have a busy weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a full weekend. So we definitely will need to do something with the dumpster.
I'm gonna take care of that because she knows where I
When you're picking that up, I've got a big box in my office that I would like to throw away and I can't.
live. Why don't we just plan on you doing that? And I'm just gonna not worry about it. I'm just gonna plan on doing that, not worry about how long it takes to get straightened out.
I mean, as you said, this weekend, we have a food pantry on Friday, we've got a
Right.
firehouse, the fire department dinner on Saturday, and then there's an event on Sunday, so it's gonna be a busy weekend.
Did you want to touch on the hot box again, or?
Well, I'm not sure how well that was gonna go over. Especially after what John just said. I'm kind of afraid to.
We haven't talked about sharing services yet.
Yeah, that's not another great subject either.
Rick's favorite subject.
Yeah, we aren't going there tonight. Are we
Tell you
waiting?
what, you get salt and shoulders and we'll get hot dogs.
That might work, because I want that stuff too. I want all that stuff too, so.
You have to list what's prioritized on your list because the budget's already in place. How much of the money in your budget do you have in your,
Well-
that you want to spend?
We've had some things going on already that, I mean, I'm not even into the year, so I would like to get a copy of the budget to keep an eye on.
You don't have a copy of the budget?
Not yet. I would get. I mean, I can. I've been kind of busy.
I will put one in your box.
You get a copy of the financial report, the monthly financial report, you get one of those? But anyway, I'm assuming this is from the offer you got, or the.
Yeah, I don't know if you recall the discussion I had about a hot box.
Yep.
All right, what it is, in case John doesn't know, it's a trailer that's diesel powered that keeps blacktop hot. And,
Yeah,
it was-
we went through there a couple of meetings ago.
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
well, what happened is, one of the salesmen sent me some information on a couple that they have. And, both are a little larger than what I was asking for, but Chris and I went to the county and we looked at theirs, and they had an identical to what they're showing here. Well, they have a couple of used ones,
Yeah, it should be in the packet.
that are in good shape,
It was.
and for, they're better than what we were looking for, and they're almost half the money. Now, the older one actually is what they call a recycler. It has 2 burners on it. And from what they're telling me is you can recycle old blacktop with it, which sounds pretty exciting. But the key to having that would be the ability to do a quality job on patch hole repairs. If you were patching culvert cutouts, you could work on that, and if you did get it finished up today, you could park the trailer out back to the shop and separate your truck from it, and you could still leave that burner running, and you can keep the blacktop good for 3 days. So it gives you the ability to, when you're working, let's say you open up a pothole, instead of just blowing all the loose stuff out of it, you could take a demo saw, you could make nice clean cuts and not have big burns on them. Just do a better quality patch that's gonna last. Not use cold patch and have it blow out 3 weeks after you did it. So that's what the key to that is. And I know it's been said that why can't you just use a dump truck and put, several tons in a dump truck? If you do that, you've got to hurry when you're getting the black. You've got to limit the amount of time to get the black top down. And if you want to do small amounts of patch, it's too wasteful to buy that much.
You said the last time the county they just use it for cold patch. They don't even heat it.
The last time we were there, they had cold patch in it, but you still have to heat it. Like this time of year, that's why it's called cold patch. But they just crank it up. But it seems like a waste to me to take and put cold patch in a hot box, unless it was an emergency. Like, let's say we had to do an emergency replacement on the culvert this time of year right now. I still would like to see it, instead of being gravel patch, I'd still like to see, the best you could do. And right now, because you can't buy blacktop at a plant, you would have to use some form of cold patch. So that would be the only reason I would use it. But they were very, very good pricing on that, and I don't know if that would make it more attractive to the board.
The price was $19,000.
Yes, for one of them. I didn't even bring mine with me because I thought we weren't going to discuss that.
It was in the packet, so.
Okay, well, I dropped it off to Dick and then I forgot to rescind that.
So, but it's in the packet, you can look at it.
I'm a big fan and I really, really want that, and I think that it would give us the ability to do a better quality patch work. And there's a lot of places where I know we're not going to get around to paving Lake of Zoning Road anytime soon, but there's a lot of places on that road where it has really pushed the blacktop out. You've got some pretty serious potholes and tire ruts. It would give you a chance to cut that out, do a better patch job.
I'm not against it, but my concerns are this bridge that we're facing. And if we don't get a grant for that bridge, I just am not willing to step up and spend a lot of extra money until we know what we're going to get funding for that bridge.
Hard to argue with that.
I mean, we don't know. We may be sitting here with a $600,000 bill
And what they may end
that we're
up,
gonna have to finance or something.
what they may end up saying is if they look at our unexpended balance.
I know, you've got the money paid for it.
The only thing that might save us is if the Build Back Better
Yep.
trickles down to us. But I have talked to the town supervisors that have said that they've been hurt by that before. They don't get grants because
Yeah.
they don't feel sorry for it.
Really, that big a deal, that little pond, that little, no, Lake Sonia?
You know what the big deal is, John? The big deal is they won't let us fix it. Because it's too big for us to fix. And anything that costs more than $250,000, you can't work on. So it has to go out to bid, and it has to go out to the engineers. That's where you're stuck. So that's why it's gonna be, as Don Chambers said, between 500 and 750,000.
Hey.
And if we have to
That's
pay for
why.
it, that would work well. You don't have to worry about balance.
Well, they feel sorry for
Was
us.
there one on Green Road a few years ago? Probably not pretty good size.
That was a culvert pipe.
What's that?
That would be the culvert.
Big culvert pipe, I mean, it had head walls, old head walls there. We had to replace the culvert inside the head walls. It wasn't a true truss. Oh, just finished.
And we're stuck right on the edge there, because the county says it's not theirs, and it's never listed as theirs, because if you get out of your truck and you go down to the bottom, it's ours, and the county won't even discuss anything else with you. But we can't just go in there and, if we were to do the job ourselves, we could put in a large concrete box culvert in there and not even have a bridge at all. We can't do that because of that situation, because of the size of it. And we also are being helped a bit by their engineer, because the engineer is saying, we're gonna call this a renovation, a rehabilitation. If we call it a new bridge, then we've gotta meet all of today's standards. And he said, $1.5 million. So, and the bridge. Yeah.
Hey, excuse me?
But the bridge.
You're forgetting who pays a lot of the tax revenue. You're forgetting about those camps down there.
$1.5 million.
Huh?
Wilson Road's nice.
Yeah, again, you're forgetting who pays a lot of revenue to this town. And there's somebody sitting right here every meeting that is gonna let you forget.
Well, I'm glad we're renovating.
Yeah,
I'm
I
glad we're
mean,
renovating.
just how you word things. I mean, I've learned not to say roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the wording that you use is good.
Oh, I thought you had something.
No, I just agree with myself a couple of things.
Okay, moving on. We discussed facilities.
We jumped back into highway.
WBHL is help center, and I went to the meeting, I skipped you.
Rescue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I already got it. They had their elections last night. They have a new president, Jim Hartford. Sherry Wilson is the vice president. Bob Carter is the new treasurer. Erica Marlowe is the new secretary. And for the board of directors, they have Gus Wood and June Wood.
We won't go there.
Fun counting those votes.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, they will be approaching the town. They need to put a new heating system in, so they're looking for some of the ARPA funds. And the heating system will cost them $21,000. I know they're gonna hit us up for money.
What's going on? I mean, building's not that old.
It's actually, what, 30 years old, Greg?
Pretty close, not quite 30.
Not quite 30.
What is it?
No, Fraser.
Right now.
Oh, well,
It's an old heating system that should have changed 15 years ago. And then you just piecing it back together here and there, and it just keeps stopping, it's not working. They're just piecing it together right now.
and I will tell you that when the heating system went down, they went out and bought some electric heaters.
Yep.
They're like, they went up $200 just for the week that they have those heaters.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it for rescue. Yeah. Health center
what I told you about the doctor wanting to buy the building, or the separate see what Roger has to say.
Clerk's gonna get back to budget.
Yes, and also the auctioneer, so, between all of that.
Groundskeeper, he's keeping. Under new business, the shared services agreement with the Hopkinton Fire District. This is something we've done for the last 10 years that the district came together. And this just allows the town guys, they can go and do work for the fire department. Fire department can come and do stuff for the highway. If they have to use the highway equipment, it has to be a highway employee that operates it. If the highway guys go to help with the fire, the firemen are in charge. So I'm just looking for a motion to approve the shared services agreement.
I make a motion that we approve the shared services.
Everybody happy?
I had an excellent meeting with Steve and Greg this past week, and they explained everything to me, and I explained the board's position has been to support the fire department, how we can, and it doesn't seem to be like there's any disagreement anywhere, so.
Nothing to add, nothing to subtract here, we're good. And I'll second it.
When you guys come in, you will.
Is that?
When something works, it doesn't.
I just wanted to see if there's anything else anybody wanted to add or take away from. Good.
So Debbie made a motion, Rick second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hold harmless agreement, this is for the county. Don't we need to know? Oh, no, we just, this
Yeah, I had to
is
get,
just showing their
yeah,
insurance.
and I had to try, I had to do that some, general liability insurance.
Okay. So we just need this approved. This is something we do every year too. This is totally harmless. The county pays for providing the service in 2022. Motion to accept that?
I'll make a motion.
Vicki made a motion, John second. All in favor? Aye. I put BHLS on there, but I can't remember why.
Well, I don't know either, but
I don't have anything.
Because we've talked about a lot already. We've talked.
I know.
I've done it several times.
We have.
the well is dry.
I have some more knowledge. Just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of what's going on. We got it covered. So the last thing I have on under new business is this workplace violence prevention. And this was, I got a phone call from the guy who does our safety training, wanting to know if we had anything in place. And I said, the only thing we had was the workplace violence policy. And so he was asking me if we had anything in place for the employees, if there's a dispute or anything between the employees. So I contacted the county, and they sent me what they had after I went through a question and answer period of 25 questions why I wanted it. So, and then I Googled some and came up with some more wording. So this is what we came up with. And basically it was to put in place if something were to happen between employees, between superintendent and employees, and they get in a fist fight or whatever, we have something for, I don't want to say a punishment, but something in place that we could use to say, okay, you started this year out, and enforcement. And what we said was that the first offense would be a written letter in the personnel file. The second offense would be 3 days suspension at no pay and a letter in the file. The third offense, the employee would be terminated. And I had Jim read this, and I sent it all the board. The only thing that we need to change is I had patients and patients' family members in there. I Googled that. Okay. And that probably should be changed to patrons. But anyone have any, and this isn't something we have to pass tonight, but any other suggestions, or did everyone get a chance to read it?
I tried. There were so many of them.
I know.
And it seems like some of them say kind of the same thing. And
So if you want, I can work on combining this in the workplace violence policy. But it's really two different policies. But it's up to you. Like I said, Safety Joe did recommend that we do something.
Well, some of this, I think we're opening ourselves up to something, so.
By having a policy?
In the event of a major workplace incident that affects or has the potential to affect the mental health of the workforce, we provide initial counseling support service to you and your immediate family members.
We can take that out. I just was going by.
Well, that's going to open up the Pandora's box right there. What considers a major workplace incident?
What is considered that? I would say anything that Jim considers is.
You know, I almost think maybe we should ask Safety Joe to give us his recommendation. Because I'm not
He will
sure.
not, because he can't do that.
Rick, I think with that, what would help make think about that is if something happens with going down the road, car accident, car hits the truck, somebody dies, then that's where that could come.
Yeah, but this is more of just personnel, not
Well,
full.
you just said anything in the garage type thing, so you have to have something.
Is there
Yeah, with
any
your tender feelings, I don't know what we're going to get.
is there any state mandate? Oh, can't do that.
I don't, the insurance company, they have a mandate, I insurance company, they want, oh.
I think you can kind of rewrite it to fit into the other one. And kind of, and you wouldn't have some of the language in here where it said does open the town up. So you could probably tone down some of the language if you put it in the other policy, just a suggestion.
Well, and this workplace violence policy and the violence prevention could be, I think it could be incorporated into one.
Oh, yes.
Which would be the policy and the response procedure as well. And you could condense it down to probably 3 pages total. If that, I mean, because there's a lot of redundancy that I found. But there definitely has to be an enforcement policy as far as things that occur or could occur. Disciplinary. I mean, I don't think that should be left.
Okay, so what I'm going to ask is I'm going to ask for a volunteer to work on combining these because I have looked at these too many times and I'm finished with it. I mean, I sent this out how long ago? I heard back from Vicki and I heard back from Debbie with just that one thing, so.
Well, then there's your food with that.
Oh, thank you very much. You're so nice to volunteer us.
I didn't realize we had 3 different policies.
Yes.
Pardon me?
Almost felt like you were trying to volunteer.
That'd be a conflict of interest activity, right?
So do I have volunteers to look at combining these policies?
Yeah, I don't have anything to do.
Actually, Vicki, I don't think I put you on a committee.
I am just like trying to just make heads and tails of all of them. There's just so much.
You do it Friday afternoon.
It's like objectives, we have objectives on
You
this.
do it Friday afternoon when at the town office, although it can be one policy.
Are you going to be there Friday afternoon?
Apparently I am at
She's
noon.
coming in for a meeting, yeah.
At noon.
At noon. I
Oh,
guess.
but not every Friday.
No, no.
We
I'm
can set it up that way.
Huh?
We can set it up for every Friday.
No, we cannot.
Volunteer slots open.
Hey, I just volunteered for a third thing. Where's your luck?
And the 4th one you're on, so you just don't know it.
Oh, Ricky was there a long time.
the guys have been working hard at it.
We're very happy, so all those complaints you get, you
Just,
got one that's happy.
just remember when we start replacing culverts, there's a lot on that road.
Well,
Would you say the majority of your complaints are the county roads?
Absolutely.
But
without
you
a
need to
doubt.
put a message
Absolutely.
on your answering machine. If you're calling about the condition of the road, you need to be calling the county highways.
And my second biggest thing is the shoulders on Lake Azonia Road. And I've had a discussion with a few people on that, and it's hard to argue with it. It was a mess. We are going to take care of it in the spring, and hopefully we don't do too much damage to anybody's yard trying to clean that up, but it's got to be cleaned up. It won't happen again.
Why is it a mess?
we think one.